and she's studying dietetics at Andrews University in Michigan. And she's going to talk on a very interesting topic about basically principles for how to choose and avoid some of the popular diets and fads. So, here you go.
Thank you. He really is the best brother I've ever had. He's also the only brother I have.
Eric.
Yes, as Eric said, I am a senior dietetics student at Andrews University and enjoy it very much. It's really exciting to learn about food, something that's so much a part of our daily lives, and for a lot of us, one of our favorite parts, right? Yeah. I love eating. I love cooking. Yes, so I'm talking a little bit about diets and choosing diets. As all of us living here in America, we know that the diet industry is something that's really big. So I have a statistic for you here. We're going to talk about how much money Americans spend on weight loss programs. So here's our statistic. $118 million on diets. But I have a quiz for you. How often do we spend that? Do we spend that much every year? Or do Americans spend 118 million every month? Or every week? What do you guys okay to guess? I heard someone say month, like a quarter. Any other ideas? Week? Okay. I'm a horrible person. It's a trick question. It's every day.
What?
I saw one statistic claiming that $30 billion a year are spent on weight loss products and diets. It's big business. And according to some statistics, as much as half of Americans are on a diet at any given time. Many people who are on a diet, it's not their first time on a diet. Most people, they've been on dozens of diets, trying one thing after another, trying to recover their health and lose the weight that has creeped up and it's keeping them back from enjoying what they want to. So a lot of reasons that people start diets. For some people, it is motivated primarily for health. I'd say for the majority of people, it's motivated by the desire to be healthy, to be able to do activities that they once enjoyed. For other people, they're tired of the way they look, they're tired of the way they feel, they're tired of how people perceive them. There's a lot of reasons people start diets, and sometimes, as in the case of eating disorders especially, people feel, and when I say people, I include myself, we often feel out of control in our lives, am I right? Have you ever felt that there are factors beyond your control? For example, my brother alluded to the fact that he rescued me today. Well, I don't know how much he told you what he rescued me from, but a series of unfortunate events left me with not enough gas to get to Kansas and a credit card that had expired because my bank sold my account to another bank and I didn't contact the new bank in time to get a new card. And I literally had money and no way to access it, and absolutely nothing I could do except call Eric. But that was a small example. That I couldn't control some of those factors, even though yes, I did make a mistake in forgetting to do things ahead of time. A lot of times there are things that happen in our lives that we absolutely have no control whatsoever over. Diseases strike us, and while we have a certain amount of ability to affect that with our lifestyle, you can't guarantee what's going to happen. Accidents happen. And so a lot of people turn to dieting as the one thing in their life that they can control. We see that especially in things like anorexia. A lot of girls especially feel so out of control in their lives and not able to determine anything that happens, they decide to determine what they eat to a point of a completely unhealthy fixation. And it happens. And so a lot of people go to diets as a way to cope as well. But we're going to look at something about fad dieting. First of all, what is a fad diet? Technically, a fad diet is any weight loss plan that enjoys sudden popularity, and it's typically a short-lived popularity, although some diets are considered fad. A which I had heard of but never looked up, and I always thought people just ate grapefruit. So that's not it. You actually drink grapefruit juice, like 3 times a day or something like that, and there's supposed to be enzymes in the grapefruit that are magic, and so they burn all your fat away just from the enzymes in grapefruit juice. That would be an example of a bad diet. But some characteristics that we can see generally promise a quick fix. Something that will turn your life around, turn your health around immediately. They're often based on a single scientific study or very simplistic interpretation of a study. They often list good and bad foods, to where as long as you just eat these foods and you don't ever eat these foods, you'll be fine. It'll be great. They often eliminate one or more of the 5 food groups. For example, and we'll talk about this a little bit more on a slide or two later, the Atkins diet or some of these low-carb, high-protein diets restrict you almost completely to fats and proteins while depriving you of carbohydrates. And so you want to look at these diets and say, what are they promising? And then the other big thing is, who's going to gain if you go on this diet? Who stands to profit? We talk about all that money. All that money is big industry. And so if someone's trying to sell you a plan or a program or a supplement, be extra careful about that because they stand to gain by you using it. So look at who's funding a study that promotes rapid weight loss. Find out what's behind it, who's going to benefit. If the diet will only work for you if you buy their products, probably a bad and probably not the best idea. But fad diets do work to an extent. Often. Have you ever known anybody who lost weight quickly on a fad diet? Ever met anybody like that? Absolutely. You can. When you do cut your calories, no matter whether you're doing that by eating grapefruit juice or eating, just fats and proteins, whatever you're doing, if you're cutting your calories dramatically, you will probably lose weight in the short term. So if they work, what's the problem? We're going to talk about some specific problems, but one of the biggest problems is the diet mentality. I believe that this is the most harmful aspect of a lot of diets, is the idea that you can do something dramatic for a little while, and then you can go back to doing whatever you want for the rest of your life, and you'll be good because you followed through with this short-term quick fix. So I honestly believe that that's the most harmful aspect of diets, is because they promote that mentality of just do this for 6 weeks, for 1 week, and then you'll be good. And then what does that invariably lead to? Does it work? It's a cycle, it's up and down, it leads to discouragement, because you think, well, I just didn't do it well enough, or something. It's my problem. The diet should work, but I didn't do it well enough. And so it's a very depressing mentality. But besides that, fad diets often limit calories too severely. This isn't healthy, and it's counterproductive. Because if you don't lose a pound a week, you need to cut about 500 calories a day. You need to have a calorie deficit of about 500 calories a day. What that means is that if the way you've been eating and the way you've been living, your calories in and calories out are about the same, then you either need to exercise and burn 500 more calories every day, or you need to eat 500 less calories every day to lose a pound a week. It's actually, I should have gotten some statistics on this for you, but here's your homework. It's actually extremely difficult to exercise and burn 500 calories a day. That's hard to do. You would have to be, on a treadmill all day. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's not something you can just go for a walk for an hour and you burn 500 calories. It's a lot easier to cut those 500 calories from your diet. But it's even better if you use a combination approach. where you cut calories, but you also added that activity. Because what does exercise do? You guys know this? It not only burns calories, but what else does it do? What does it do to your muscles? It builds them, and what do muscles do? They burn fat. They burn calories. So if you exercise, it builds your muscles, and then the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn while you're sitting down, like at rest or during exercise. You burn more calories if you have more muscle. So exercising not only helps you while you're doing it, but it helps you even when you're not. So that's the combination approach. Okay, a healthy weight, most dietitians and doctors agree, a healthy weight loss is about a pound or 2 a week. For people who are extremely obese, it can be a little more than that, from what I've heard. But in general, you don't want to go much over 2 pounds a week. A lot of these fad diets, have you seen the magazine covers in the grocery store, right? What do they promise? What do they say? Massive weight loss. They say, 17 pounds in 2 weeks, right? Or, I lost 50 pounds in a month. Right? You've seen that, right? Is that healthy? It's not healthy. Why? Why would that be a problem? Well, the problem is what you're losing. When you lose weight very rapidly, your body will actually, if you go into ketosis, your body can start to burn. Correct me, Dr. Brandon, I'm getting some things around, but your body can burn your muscle. So if you're starving yourself, your body's not going to be using the fat source, it's going to be eating your muscle. And so, okay, we just talked about what muscle does for your metabolism. So if your body is consuming your muscle for energy, what does that do for future weight loss? It makes it harder because now you have less muscle memory. You have less muscle, less mass, I'd say. And so you don't want that. Also, a lot of that quick weight loss is water weight. Dehydration. A lot of the supplements that are promoted by weight loss programs are diuretics. So if they dehydrate you, then yes, you have lost weight. But is dehydration a healthy way to lose weight? Absolutely not. And then besides that, when your body goes into a starvation mode, they actually did a study in World War II that I found fascinating. They recruited a bunch of very healthy, very fit young men to volunteer for the study that today could not be conducted, it would be considered unethical. But what they did was they basically starved in a very controlled way. They cut these young men's caloric intake. I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was like 1,500 calories a day, which for a healthy young man is pretty low. But it's not nearly as extreme as some diets that are promoted. But what they found with these men is they went into depression, they lost ambition, they lost energy, they lost so many things, and they struggled because they weren't eating enough. So if you're trying to lose weight, if you're on a diet, and you're eating not enough, what's that going to do to your willpower, to your mental ability and desire to keep going? With the diet and just with life in general. Is that going to help you or hurt you? It's going to hurt you. So it's really important not to limit your calories too severely because while you might have an initial weight loss, it's just not healthy and it's not sustainable. Secondly, they can actually be harmful to your health. A lot of diets will promote a supplement or a pill that may not have been extensively tested. So that's a concern too, that it might be fine. And if they're telling you to drink grapefruit juice, it's probably not going to hurt you. It may not have the miracle properties that they say, but it's not going to hurt you. But a lot of these ones that have pills and supplements, you know, be really cautious of that because it can actually be harmful. Again, if you're strictly limiting your diet, you can be missing a lot of things that are really important. For example, if you're following an Atkins diet or any of these low-carb diets that at least the beginning, from what I understand, they restrict you to not eating fruits and vegetables. And only the proteins and fats. What do fruits and vegetables have? The good stuff, right? They not only have vitamins and minerals and things that we know we need, but they have so many things that we don't buy the books and you have to do all that. It's just expensive. How many of us have extra money? If you raise your hand, I'll give you my email. Okay, good.
That's pretty good.
None of us have extra money that we just feel like spending if we don't have to, right? None of us do. I wish I did. And so it's just, why spend money for something that you can get with the same amount of money that you normally spend for food? A couple specific considerations on some diets. We talked about this a little bit, but the low carb, high protein, it's really hard on your kidneys and liver. If you're following it for a short amount of time in a healthy individual, you will probably not have severe consequences immediately. But if you're following it for an extended amount of time, or if you've ever had kidney or liver problems, it can actually be very harmful, very dangerous. But it's not good bringing up, but you'll probably get away with it if you're healthy at the beginning, but it can be dangerous. Another one that's really popular nowadays is the raw food diet. I'm just curious if anybody in here has tried that. Has anybody tried raw food? Okay, short time?
Just some of the dishes.
Okay,
Just see what they taste like, you know.
nice. How did you like that?
Good. One was similar to the lettuce wrap that you guys taught us the last time, and another one was using the big leafy greens and cutting them, you know, kind of like a spaghetti or something.
Oh, okay.
So it showed different ways of doing things that made it look like pasta or salad or something. And it really did taste good.
Nice.
And then cookies, when you think of cookies, you always think you have to bake. You have
Right.
to cook this and do that. But they made cookies that actually stayed together. So were like cooked.
Wow, that's
Also
awesome.
had commanders, the oats, you know,
Right.
everything. And all of them.
It's all right.
Mary's good. Somebody that's struggling with sugar desserts.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really good. It was at Green Acres on Thursday night. I think they had served
Nice.
raw food.
Raw food. Very cool. Before I talk about the raw food diet, actually I should say this. I firmly believe, and most health professionals would agree with this wholeheartedly, that Americans do not eat enough fresh and raw foods. Raw vegetables, raw fruits, there's so much that's really good for you in that. So when I talk about raw foods, what I'm saying is the 100% raw, where you're not allowed to have anything cooked. Because I definitely think that we all could eat more fresh produce and fresh vegetables and stuff, and that would be really good for us. This is one that I haven't come to a real good conclusion on, nor has the scientific community in general. It's still somewhat debated. It is extremely time consuming to be able to prepare a menu plan that has enough of all the nutrients, as well as making sure you're getting the calories. Because a lot of things that are restricted in there in refined products, they add a lot of calories to the diet, and so especially for someone who is trying to gain weight or to maintain their weight, it can be very difficult to do that on a raw food diet unless it's very carefully planned. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's the worst thing you can do. It can be expensive and time consuming, and you have to be really careful to plan it well. And I would say if you're going to do any of these, really, talk to your doctor. Talk to someone who can guide you through it so that you are getting the proper nutrition that you need. Okay, the next one, some diets work off of drugs or pills that block fat absorption, which sounds great, right? You can eat normally, but the fat just doesn't get absorbed. It just goes away. You don't have to deal with it. It's awesome. But it's not, because some of the vitamins that are really important to your body, we call them ADEK, the fat soluble vitamins, are in fat. So you only get them, they're only absorbed with fat. And so when you're blocking your fat absorption, you can develop deficiencies in your fat soluble vitamins. smarter too, I think. And so a lot of these things, they haven't even been studied in humans, these raspberry ketones. They studied them in some kind of mice or something, which is fine, but mice aren't humans, so there are some differences. There's no proof that they really work, and they're expensive. They're like $20 or more for a little bottle of them. Like, you're going to waste a lot of money on something that's not proven. So those are some specific considerations with some of these fad diets. But I want to look at kind of the other side of the spectrum, because there are a lot of Americans are very concerned with eating better, and that's a good thing. But there's something called the halo effect. I learned about it in my business class. Talked about it in hiring. So if you're the interviewer, people come in and you start talking to them, and let's just say that you did really well on your SAT when you were in high school, and you're really proud of that. You should be. You did really, really well. And so you have someone come in, you're interviewing them, and they happen to mention that they got the highest ever score on the SAT. Ever. Will you be impressed with that? Yeah? Because that's something that you're proud of for yourself. You think that it validates your own intelligence, knowledge, and stuff. So if you see someone that did as well or better, it's very possible that your mind would stick on that one characteristic. They got the highest score on the SAT. I should hire this person because they are the smartest, they are the best. Could someone else be better qualified for the job? Absolutely. But the halo effect is basically where one really good characteristic overshadows everything else, so all you see is that one really good characteristic. So a lot of times that happens with our foods too. Like, this is one of my favorite examples. Go ahead, honey. It's gluten-free. Have you ever seen someone, they're eating ice cream, and they ate the entire carton, or most of it, and say, oh, it's vegan. Don't worry, it's coconut ice cream. On your point? So what we see a lot in health food advertising is what I'm calling the halo effect. We've got these halos. Organic, low fat, fat-free, sugar-free, all natural, kosher, vegan, superfood, locally grown. Now tell me, are those things good? Yes, in their own way, most of those are good, right? But do they overshadow all other considerations? They can, but they shouldn't, right? Just because something's vegan and locally grown, and even organic, doesn't mean it's good for you. For example, they actually have, don't laugh, keep guessing off this thing, they actually have organic tobacco marketed. No, it's not. No. So you can buy organic cigarettes. Now, is that good for you? Is it maybe marginally better than non-organic? Being marginally, maybe, yeah. But does it make much of a difference? Not really, right? And so my point is that a lot of these, they're not bad, but you have to read past them. So if it says it's organic, that's great. But if the first ingredient is sugar, unless you're buying sugar, then it's probably not what you want. And then other things, okay, for example, low fat or fat free. That's nice. Most of us would like to eat less fat. That's cool. But what did they do to make it taste good and be fat free? Exactly. They put more sugar, MSG, or salt, or all of the above, right? And so you have to look at that. How do they compensate? And the same thing with sugar-free. I almost never buy anything that's sugar-free because when they say sugar-free, it usually just means they use an artificial sweetener. I would rather buy something that has sugar in it than artificial sweetener. That's just my personal conviction, and it might be better to find something unsweet, right? As natural as possible. But if it's going to be sweetened, I'd rather put sugar in it than artificial sweetener. That's not enough research to really convince me that it's safe at this point. The other thing, okay, all natural. Does that sound good? Would you guys like to eat food that's all natural? Yeah, that sounds good to me. Okay, the only problem is legally that term doesn't mean anything. There's no legal requirements to put that label on your food. You can call it all natural if you want to. And so, I mean, maybe if you're a huge corporation, you might get called on it if it's not natural. But there's really not, like, or, yes?
That could be non-natural bread versus
Yeah. Well,
meats are all natural.
yes, absolutely.
Everything in bread is all natural. But since the bread is good for you,
Right. And that's how it can be a halo. So when it's a natural, in our minds, we think, oh, natural means it doesn't have any, like, anything artificial, anything. But legally, they can use it if they want to. So that really doesn't mean anything as far as advertising goes. It just means they want you to buy the product. So this sounds good. I'm not knocking organic. I'm not knocking anything. I'm just saying look past it and consider everything with that. Because it might be organic, but it may not necessarily be good for your health. So we want to get off the crazy cycle, right? We don't want to be a hamster thinking he's almost there when really he's not going anywhere, right? So let's not focus on weight. That's the diet mentality. Weight is really not the problem. It's not. It's just a measure of how heavy you are, but weight doesn't help. So instead of focusing on your weight and trying out new diets, focus on your health and change your lifestyle. Getting rid of that diet mentality. Well, what does your health mean to you? I know to me, health is more than just physical. It includes my physical health, but also my emotional health, spiritual health, and mental health. And all of these things affect one another, right? If you're exhausted and sick, you feel very well prepared mentally to go take an exam. Sorry, I'm a college student still, so exams are a pretty good illustration for me. Do you feel like, are you going to perform your best? Or if you, I don't know, if you have a really rough time physically and your spouse comes to you with, and they're angry at you, they have a problem, you have to have this confrontation and discussion, are you going to be emotionally stable and well balanced to do that? As if you're feeling just really, really sick and in pain. Chronic pain wears on your nerves. It really does. My best friend was recently diagnosed with fibromyalgia. She's in pain every day. She's my age. She's 25. Every day she's in pain and taking painkillers and often just in unbearable pain. And honestly, it wears on her. It wears on people. If you don't feel good, it's so much harder to be happy. And conversely, if you're not happy, even if your body is fit, what's the point? You can look at celebrities and athletes. Are they physically healthy? A lot of them are relatively healthy. A lot of athletes are in pretty good shape, right? But are they happy? And so that's where I want to encourage all of us to, instead of focusing on weight, on one measurement, focus on your entire health. And you can change things one step at a time. Because a healthy body is a good starting point. But there's a whole lot more. Let's switch gears a little bit. Back to the beginning, talking about principles of health. What did God tell us? God made us, right? So he had some ideas about what we should eat. It says in Genesis chapter 1, that when God created Adam and Eve and they were in the Garden of Eden, he gave them, read the verse here, Genesis 1:29, behold, I've given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth, and every tree receiving its fruit. You shall have them for food. And then later, after they sinned and had to leave the garden, God added vegetables. Punishment? Just kidding. Genesis 3:18. You shall eat the plants of the field. I think that's when kale was introduced. Don't let my mom hear me say that. She likes eating kale. And then, after the flood, what did the flood do to all the plants? All the trees? It wiped them out, right? And so that's when God said, you don't have anything else to eat, so you can eat the animals. So that's when God told Noah and his family that they could eat the clean animals that they had taken on the ark. And so we can see the difference between God's original diet and what God allowed later as kind of a backup plan, right? Since you don't have the vegetables and fruits, we're going to give you the meat. And so what we see here is that God's original plan and God's backup plan are still applicable now, right? I don't believe that eating meat is, the worst possible thing you could do to your body, and it's not an option, and it's horrible. I would never say that. It's just plan B. And so the closer that we can get to plan A, it's going to be better for our health. And so extreme or fat diet type of this is these are the acceptable foods, these are the unacceptable foods. But what I really encourage you to look at is just think, what will be best? What's the best thing that I can feed myself that I can get? If I can't get the best, then I'll get the second best. If I can't get the second best, I'll get the third best. But this is it's going to strive for God's original plan as much as possible, looking at the foods that grow as close to their original state as possible. Like a peach off the tree. That is so perfect, right? I had 2 today. My awesome sister-in-law sent me lunch. She's pretty great. And peaches are just amazing. And they can't really be improved upon. Peach pie is good. But a fresh peach can beat a peach pie any day in my book. And so eating our food as close to the way it was grown as possible is going to be our best bet for natural health. Some other principles of health as we wrap up quickly. Again, just looking at the balanced approach of focusing on your entire body and mental health. Your nutrition is a key aspect of it, right? But also this exercise. See, the acronym is, you can't really see it, but if you look carefully, New Start is a way to remember that. Nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, getting out, enjoying the sun, temperance, everything in balance and moderation. Getting fresh air, enough rest, enough sleep at night, does that make a difference? Makes a difference in my mood. And then trusting in God. The peace that God gives us can help us through even when we haven't had enough sleep. Even when our food hasn't been the best. God can still give us that peace. But these are just principles to look at to focus on your entire health. As far as nutrition, if you want to know if a diet that you're considering is going to meet your body's requirements, then you need to know what your body requires. And so a really, really awesome free tool that I found is actually on the government website, myplate.gov. And it allows you to make an account, sign in, and it'll help you calculate whether you're trying to gain weight, maintain your weight, lose weight, how many calories you need every day, and then you can put in the foods you eat, and it'll tell you how many calories are in those foods. There's tons of awesome tools. Go check it out. It's fun, easy to use, and can help you understand what your body needs. And then, for most of us, if you start a new lifestyle by deciding to change everything in your old lifestyle, is that a little overwhelming? Have you ever decided that you're going to get more sleep, drink more water, eat better, exercise more, study more overnight, like New Year's resolutions? and relapse happens. Chocolate cake at a birthday party happens. And that's the difference between a lifestyle and a diet. If you're on a diet and you have that cake, you just blew your diet. You broke the rules and you slipped off and might as well just quit if you already messed up, right? But if this is your lifestyle, then you say, okay, so I had chocolate cake, but I'm gonna have oat milk for breakfast and I'm gonna get right back and I'm gonna continue making positive changes for my health. So don't beat yourself up. Don't do that. It's counterproductive. It doesn't help anyone. So just keep going and keep making those positive changes. So again, just a quick review. We want to lose the diet mentality, right? We don't want that. I'm just going to do this for a little while. It'll magically cure everything that's wrong with my life, including my relationships. And then I can go on and do whatever I want for the rest of my life. That doesn't work. Make sure you're eating enough. If you cut too many calories at once, you'll be miserable. And you can lose the wrong kind of weight. You can lose your muscle and your water. And again, avoid expensive plans. You don't need expensive plans. Eat real food. There's a lot of gimmicks. There's a lot of kitchen equipment even that they try to sell you. Some of it is awesome. Some of it is completely unnecessary and a lot of it is pointless. But don't immediately rush out and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on kitchen equipment. Just do simple things. Eat simple foods. And that's the last one. Eat a wide, colorful variety of foods, especially your fresh fruits and vegetables. Plant-based is one of the best things you can do for your body, as much as possible. It doesn't have to be 100%, but as much as possible. The more that you eat, the better it is for your body. Plant-based and as close to the way it's grown as you can do it. And we'll begin to see differences in your health. I know you will. I can tell how I feel when I'm eating well and when I'm not. So anyway, I just want to hopefully encourage you with that you can make simple changes that you will feel better.